Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is your host, Christopher Michael Curtis Bowen, on this evening edition of Fire for Liberty on the 27th of July 2017, co-creating a very beautiful, unique, very special, very united, very glorious and magical, most definitely, and very transcendental in nature type of enlightened existence, embodied within us, within me, within the heart, within the body, within the spirit, within our spirit, which we raise up to the sky, lift your spirit and setting it free. Being free, of course, we're freer. And freer and freer and freer. And what was special about today was still the ability to recognize the world as it turns slowly, and I really mean that, as in, we can really believe in the fact that we are one. That oneness is, of course, omniscient, omnipresent. That oneness itself, and that unity, and that understanding of that type of higher spiritual level, as in enlightenment, which of course is very powerful, but it's very prevalent in that oneness, unity. Of course, power is a very huge part of it, that power in enlightenment, or enlightened consciousness, of course, incredibly powerful. I understand that, yes, of course, omniscience, omnipresence, yes, it's, of course, very potent, very powerful. And, of course, the speed of omnipresence and omnipotence is adherent, recognizable, and something to be very proud of, very aware of, and very, it's a sense of integrity that's within us, within all of us. And once again, as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give others permission to do the same. Because as we are liberated from our own fears, our presence liberates others. And that is ultimately not only omniscience, but omnipresence. So that's actually something I should mark on the board. Also, I'm not going to elaborate on that. I do a lot of things. One of the things I do is writing. But I'm not going to digress into writing at the moment. I'm going to really speak about something very important, which is, one, to be honest, I really do, for example, I actually did Walking Fire for Liberty. So I'm going to do that a little bit more, or do that a lot more, do that continuously. That's something I will practice. Also, I'm going to continue, or definitely focus and dedicate myself to, just me personally, knowing more languages. I'm already working on a new language. I'm thinking, and that's something I haven't really mentioned. Well, actually, I probably mentioned it before, but that's what I'm working on, making a new language. Really, for, of course, the purpose of, that next step in social evolution. Because it's really, I'm definitely willing to learn a lot of languages, and I intend to. So far, the order is, I already know a few languages, but so far, I'm gonna learn more, of course, and I want to absolutely, master them. But at the same time, I also want to create this new language, and I know there's other languages, or there's a new language that's already been worked on, for example, and that's well into the process. I think that's incredibly exciting, because once again, that's a very beautiful step in social evolution, because that's what we can do, because we're, I'm not going to digress too far into this, but we are, of course, creators, we are omnipotent, and we have the abilities to do that type of manifestation within our hearts and within and manifest it in our external reality, connecting us even closer to the reality we are, and therefore enhancing many more of our innate abilities. Another beautiful thing is this type of wisdom, and some of it I'm going to impart right now. Here we go. And I'm going to go straight into it to help. And then absolutely this actually probably will be translated, but also I will translate this. So here we go, and of course it can be multiply translated because what's that phenomenon? No, it's not only Phoenix phenomenon, which is absolutely spectacularly beautiful. I mean, I thought it was amazing, but now it is just it's beyond bliss. It's actually well beyond heaven essence. It's a beautiful, gorgeous, magnificent, fabulous, spectacular, legendary production, which is only the beginning. And these are all these words, but honestly, words don't even come close, which is why I'm making another language. One of the reasons why I'm making another language. Of course, the countlessness of the connectivity is something that for one can be put in words, but at the same time can't be put in words. So once again, I'm going to go straight into this. So here we go. One who is engaged in Lord Krishna's devotional service lives in a direct relationship with the Supreme Lord, so there is no doubt that his position is transcendental from the very beginning. A devotee does not live in the material plane, he lives in Krishna. Or Krishna. The holy name of the Lord and the Lord are non-different. Therefore, when a devotee chants Hare Krishna, Krishna and his internal potency are dancing on the tongue of the devotee. When he offers Krishna food, Krishna directly accepts these eatables, and the devotee becomes Krishnaized by eating the remnants. One who does not engage in such service cannot understand how this is so, although this is a process recommended in the Gita and in other Vedic literatures. Okay, next. In this verse, two different processes of Bhakti Yoga are indicated. The first applies to one who has actually developed an attachment for Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, by transcendental love. The other is for one who has not developed an attachment for the Supreme Person by transcendental love. For the second class, there are different prescribed rules and regulations, which one can follow to be ultimately elevated to the stage of attachment to Krishna. Bhakti Yoga is the purification of the senses. At the present moment in material existence, the senses are always impure, being engaged in sense gratification, but by the practice of Bhakti Yoga, these senses can become purified, and in the purified state they come directly in contact with the Supreme Lord. In this material existence, I may be engaged in some service to some master, but I don't really lovingly serve my master. I simply serve to get some money, and the master also is not in love. He takes service from me and pays me, so there is no question of love. But for spiritual life, one must be elevated to the pure stage of love. That stage of love can be achieved by practice of devotional service performed with the present senses. This love of God is now in a dormant state in everyone's heart, and their love of God is manifested in different ways, but it is contaminated by material association. Now the material association has to be purified, and that dormant natural love of Krishna has to be revived. That is the whole process. To practice the regulative principles of Bhakti Yoga, one should, under the guidance of an expert spiritual master, follow certain principles. One should rise early in the morning, take bath, enter the temple, offer prayers, and chant Hare Krishna, then collect flowers to offer to the deity, cook foodstuffs to offer to the deity, take prasadam, and so on. There are various rules and regulations which one should follow, and one should constantly hear Bhagavad Gita and Smriti Bhagavatam from pure devotees. This practice can help anyone to rise to the level of love of God, and then he is sure of his progress into the spiritual kingdom of God. This practice of Bhakti Yoga under the rules and regulations with the direction of a spiritual master will surely bring one to the stage of love of God. One who is not able even to practice the regulative principles of Bhakti Yoga under the guidance of a spiritual master can still be drawn to this perfectional stage by working for the Supreme Lord. How to do this work has already been explained in the 55th verse of the 11th chapter. 1 should be sympathetic to the propagation of Krishna consciousness. There are many devotees who are engaged in the propagation of Krishna consciousness and they require help. So even if one cannot directly practice the regulated principles of Bhakti Yoga, he can try to help such work. Every endeavor requires land, capital, organization, and labor. Just as in business, one requires a place to stay, some capital to use, some labor, and some organization to expand. So the same is required in the service of Krishna. The only difference is that in materialism, one works for sense gratification. The same work, however, can be performed for the satisfaction of Krishna, and that is spiritual activity. If one has sufficient money, he can help in building an office or temple for propagating Krishna's consciousness, or he can help with publications. There are various fields of activity, and one should be interested in such activities. If one cannot sacrifice the result of such activities, the same person can still sacrifice some percentage to propagate Krishna consciousness. This voluntary service to the cause of Krishna consciousness will help one to rise to a higher state of love for God, whereupon one becomes perfect. It may be that one is unable to even sympathize with the activities of Krishna consciousness because of social, familial, or religious considerations, or because of some other impediments. If one attaches himself directly to the activities of Krishna consciousness, there may be objection from family members or so many other difficulties. For one such who has a problem, it is advised that he sacrifice the accumulated result of his activities for some good cause. Such procedures are described in the Vedic rules. There are many descriptions of sacrifices and special functions of the pumundi, or special work in which the result of one's previous action may be applied. Thus one may gradually become elevated to the state of knowledge. It is also found that when one who is not even interested in the activities of Krishna consciousness gives charity to some hospital or some other social institution, he gives up the hard-earned results of his activities. That is also recommended here because by the practice of giving up the fruits of one's activities, one is sure to purify his mind. Gradually, and in that purified stage of mind, one becomes able to understand Krishna consciousness. Of course, Krishna consciousness is not dependent on any other experience because Krishna consciousness itself can purify one's mind. But if there are impediments to Krishna consciousness, one may try to give up the result of his action in that respect. Social service, community service, national service, sacrifice from one's country, etc. may be accepted so that someday one may come to the stage of pure devotional service to the Supreme Lord. In Bhagavad Gita, we find it is stated, Yata pravitir bhutanam. If one decides to sacrifice for the supreme cause, even if he does not know that the supreme cause is Krishna, he will gradually come to understand that Krishna is the supreme cause by the sacrificial method. That is definitely one true deep understanding, and I truly mean that, mind, an omni-mind. Ultimately, and this is ultimately, in the future and in the now moment, we have the, I think it's like we not only have the ability, but we are living in a state of heaven essence here on planet Earth. And so one of the titles is this type of unity bliss, this state of bliss of just constant, in essence, eternal bliss, because it's not necessarily ignoring, I'm breaking this down in I guess layman's terms. It's not like ignoring, but quite more like detachment from kind of what I explained just a little bit ago, like detachment from activities. But at the same time, it's like it's kind of like that feeling. It's a tricky word, to be honest, the word feeling, I think, but at the same time it's the perfect word to use. That feeling of that, your heart skipping a beat when something happens in synchronicity. And then like that recognition of it happening like all the time, for example. Like the synchronicity when and this is probably happening right now, but synchronicity when you walk by someone and then lightning strikes, or your heart skips a beat, or like your breathing or stops, like you hesitate, like it's kind of hard to breathe, but it's like a good thing, or like that happens. Of course, that's a good thing. What I mean by like that happening, and of course that's gonna happen a lot more. And two, it's like it's that beautiful feeling that I guess that like we're home, I guess, like, and that's a strong term too. That feeling of like we're home, but or like when you're going on such a grand journey, and then this is such a spectacular event, and I'm gonna do one more, just really reiterate what I mean by what I mean by, I guess service and like devotional service and like love, because at a certain point, and I've realized this a little bit ago, well, like a while ago, when it comes to completing, and this is probably just me, probably just my personal ability, but and it had to do with a lot with meditation, breathing, doing Zhangzhuan for a bit, and I think I've got that. I've been doing that, for like 6 months now, or something like that, probably a little bit longer, whatever. The time does matter, but doesn't necessarily matter. The point I'm trying to make is breathing. Perhaps it's breathing, perhaps it's not just the breathing, but I feel like there's will, and that will can be stronger, like that willpower, that will to accomplish something or to get something done, or just to that will that keeps, for example, us conscious. That will is stronger than physical and stronger than the mind, or maybe it is the mind, but that will is stronger than, for example, emotions, or that will is stronger. It's strong. It's a power, and so it's like that willpower not only carries through, like in the heart center and through the body, but it carries through like consciousness, and it carries through ether, and it's like ether thought form, or thought form and ether thought form, or meaning like that art form of a certain high, like of that higher consciousness of where it's just like one is in everything. And it's not just in, which is a beautiful thing, it's not just in the consciousness of human beings, but it's in that beauty of which, but so just, I guess, just being realistic, like it's, I guess it's, I'm gonna do a little bit more actions that do, and at the same time there is a lot of reminiscing, which is, I think, is key. So concerts, even balls, dancing, ballroom dancing, billiards, opera, even being kind of specific, but drum core. And just it's that concept of the core in general, like the heart, like the core of the human being, solar plexus. And it's beautiful. It's real. That's what it is. It's real. The walking, the movement, the exercise, the thrill, the adrenaline rush, the racing, the driving, the free falling, the free running, the free spirited nature of flying, of soaring, of reaching. The multifaceted aspects, not assets, multifaceted of aspects of multi-creationalistical, transition and transformation, and the ultimate product of that unlimitedness in that foundational solid form, which is recognizable into not only a conscious understanding of a certain level of, for example, it could be, well, I just go straight to the point of a certain level of, for example, consciousness, or just that mind state of love, bliss, and mind, but just like connectivity. Then we have that, and I'm definitely gonna do this in more languages, of course. However, the oneness allows us to not only know other languages, but also telepathy, which ultimately, by saying we have. For example, by believing it, and it's ultimately also it is so beautiful, and I'm gonna I'm gonna tell the truth. I mean, we're gonna truly ignite, truly be, and truly become, and grow, manifest. This is brilliant. This is magical. This is spiritual growth in its prime, and it's still going. So this is good. This is greater than good. So I'm very proud. I'm very happy. I'm very, very, very happy. Very proud. At the same time, those are, at the same time, emotions. And there's a long way to go. However, this is a journey. And this journey is a long and still a grand, even stronger bond of connection with consciousness than ever before. So, we will definitely meet again. This is, I mean, of course, there's still so much to explore. We're gonna go to different planets. We're gonna really create some marvelous architectural designs. We're gonna create some marvelous buildings. We're gonna create things that are just beyond our wildest imaginations, and I truly mean that. Beyond our wildest imaginations, that ability to touch that very, very, very edge of our imagination of what we could possibly ever imagine, and then that is just that tip of that foundation, which can be built upon and then accelerated from there. It's something well beyond entire cities and places made out of crystal, or just an entire city of light, which actually we're living in. Wow, it's a city of light. So what I mean to say is, this is grand transition. Once again, there's still a lot of multi-creationalistical and multi-transistical motion to go. However, this omniscience and this omnipresence is something I'm gonna have to, We're not going to have to. It's an interesting statement. But do and will start professing. However, I do think it's innate. At the same time, it's beautiful watching us grow and getting closer to one another, and even closer and even closer and even closer to one another. This is a brand new type of unity, of tribe, if you will, or connectivity, if you will. This is literally as real as it gets, and of course it's even more real. So this is your host, Christopher from Hell Curtis Bone, on this evening edition of Fire of Liberty. Love you all.